All right, let's go ahead and get started. I don't want this to beginning of this to drag out too long. Let me share my screen really quickly. Could I get a designated note taker for today?
I'm happy to do it.
I'd appreciate that greatly. All right, let's get into the, sorry, I gotta actually read the agenda in front of me. Any new faces? I didn't see any new faces, which is why I wanted to jump right into anything, but figured I'd bring it up. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this. I think it'll be a pretty brief update week this week. First up, we have proposed that YJ is removed. Sophie, I think that all of the approvals are on this. Is this in the stack subgroup? Yeah. So if you want to merge this, by all means, feel free.
Okay, only has one approval from a tax maintainer, it looks like, so we should probably get
Is
at least
there...
one other. There's two others on our team.
Oh, okay, perfect. Oh yeah, and Dan opened this. I was supposed to say the only other one I know is Rob, and I thought that he opened it, but I don't think he did. So, okay. In that case, then I think Rob gets back next week from moving. So
Yeah, we also have Brian on the team.
Yeah. In that case, then yeah, I don't think that there's anything left for this. It's been open for a while. We've left it for comment. I think that we're good to just merge this whenever stacks maintainers are comfortable to merge it. Awesome. Next up, we have decoupled dependencies from Buildpack. I took a reread of these the other day, and I don't think that there's anything that is like actionable in these comments. I could be wrong, and if there is something that you would like me to act on, please feel free to either message me or ping on a particular comment. But I think for the most part, it's just kind of discussion. I would like to wait for Rob to get back from his time off to give this one more look over, as he is the one with a lot of the open comments. And Jan, you said that you were going to take another comprehensive read of this. Were you able to get the chance to do that?
Oh yeah, I still have that on my list. Hope to get to that soon.
Yeah. Sure. Whenever you're able to get to that, and obviously, if you have anything, bit busy. I absolutely understand. Yeah, I don't have any other comments on this. I did take the time to be able to just review it quickly this week, and I think that everything is addressed as far as I can take it. And in that case, we have a proposal to publish multi-arch. Jericho was here last week and mentioned that he was willing to do a little bit more proof of concept work to kind of prove out building a functional builder with functional ARM build packs. And I think that, Anthony, you were interested in seeing some of those before being completely pot committed.
Yeah, that's correct.
I also was supposed to reach out to Dan to have him reread these, and I completely forgot. So I will reach out to Dan later today and say, hey, give him an update on the status of this. Okay. Are there any questions about any of the open RFCs that we have? Okay. In that case, CMB updates and questions. I think that there was a patch release of the life cycle, but I don't know if anything interesting was that, or if it was just a bug fix. I will take a look at that, and if that's wrong, I will amend
I
the
think
record.
the last patch release of the lifecycle, if I've seen it correctly, was the bump of the Go version. So probably security fixes coming from Go.
Okay, in that case, then I don't think anything interesting. Just thought I'd call it out. And other than that, I can't think of any major updates CNB wise. Yeah, I think that's it. Project updates. There are 2 days left to vote for steering committee members. It was pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Like links through your GitHub. It's ranked choice voting. It's pretty nice. So if you have not done that, please do. I have linked to the comment that Chris Clark put. Are there any other project updates worth calling out? Nope. And then that leads us to open questions or discussion topics. There's nothing in here, so I'll just leave a second if anyone has anything that they'd like to discuss. Otherwise, we will have absolutely speed run this working group.
Is one thing
Yeah, sure.
maybe from my side, like from your experience of past RFCs, like the decoupled dependency RFC. No, I mean it's up to me to provide some comments there, but there's not much happening there. But what's going to be the next step? Like, I mean, it seems like a potentially controversial topic, something that is quite involved, might be quite complex, but like it seems like there's not that much discussions happening.
Yeah. So I think I got the opportunity to meet with Rob in person a little while ago, and we had a discussion about this. I think that really what we want to try and establish with this RFC is like basically just the API contract for what a decoupled build pack would look like. And then we, like Paketo, is going to have to come up with some version of what that looks like. So like a realistic idea of what this could look like is for every language family, we have basically just like a metadata provision build pack, and we cut releases on that, and then that sets up everything. But we want to make sure that we can continue to keep everything valid with the given API interfaces that we give, just in case, you know, you wanted to potentially override. I know that that's something like override the dependencies that are given, or whatever else that might be. So I think that that's realistically what we're going to do is like, we're going to put this out and then have to come up with an actual implementation logic version of this.
Yeah, then I guess I will actually add a little to the discussion, because I think the current state of the art would be very Paketo specific IDs for not very Paketo specific things like JVM, where like that's definitely different from, I don't know, what is Node still? No, Node is also not compiled, right? But there are some build packs that still compile some bits where I do understand the reasoning for now this gets a Paketo ID, but I don't really see that. So I guess I'll add some controversy to the RFC.
Yeah, for sure. I think that I've seen your discussions of that, and I don't necessarily disagree with what that idea. I think that like you said, that there is some stuff that we compile, and therefore like we would want to keep that namespaced. And anyone who would want to do some sort of alternative would then have to basically use the same namespace to say that this is a Paketo compatible version of the JVM or Node or whatever. But I would be interested. I don't know that what kind of scheme we would look at for something that isn't compiled, and I think that that's the real difficult question. So like with Go per se, right? Do I do like what is it, gl dot like io dot gl dot go, or like what is the sort of reverse domain ID that we end up using for that? And like, is there actually a standardized reverse domain that is usable? And if there is, then I would love to see that, and that would be great prior art for us to add to that RFC.
I don't know if this is related, but like, I think in terms of some of the dependencies for the work where we're doing for the extensions, some of the dependencies end up being run images, but they're not bundled into the build pack or the extension themselves. They're just a reference saying that, when I'm going to switch to the run image, this is the list of ones that I know about. And so we've done a very similar resolve, and we've tried to reuse as much code as we can, but we've, instead of having for the stack, it be actually like, here is the node build. It's just a link to the image that would be switched to. So I don't know if it's related, but it's like, it's an area where we had to look at dependencies slightly differently.
That's also good context to have as well. Thank you. I think that there's one other thing that I've been thinking about in this RFC in terms of how we can properly like have multiple metadata, like especially if we're going to go to the Buildpacks route. How do we have multiple metadata injection points, I guess, for lack of a better term? And maybe we can kind of resolve a good chunk of that by basically saying you put the metadata thing directly before the thing that installs it, and therefore changing the location of where the metadata isn't a problem. But that's something as well that I should probably call out at some point and talk to Dan about.
But yeah, I'll focus on the API sides now that I heard that this is what you kind of want to, well, fix early is probably a bit hard of a statement. We can probably change things still if we discover during implementation that it doesn't work out like that. But the plan is to define it and then try to keep with it. Then stick to it.
I think as well, as it was pointed out, that potentially these Paketo specific things could be done for initial implementation. And then it wouldn't be impossible for us to basically say like, hey, Buildpack, search for, like, we could even be preferential, search for this Paketo path and then search for the general path and then go about your day with everything else. So I think that there's upgrade paths for making more general IDs going forward. And in fact, we could even build like priority trees where we're like, you should prefer something that's Paketo specific, but go back to something that's general and that sort of thing. But I think I agree with the general sentiment of, unless we have a good reason, we should go with the most generic ID schema possible. But I also don't know. I haven't posited or I haven't really sat down and reasoned about the potential drawbacks of doing that as well.
I mean, one challenge is definitely finding them the right naming scheme, so to say. That's clear. I mean, that might on the Java side, people are used to that reversed domain name pattern, I guess. So it might be easy. Like I think I have an idea for what I would use for Tomcat, and I would be pretty sure that within the namespace of org.apache, there's no other project called Tomcat that can get into conflict with that, but I can't say that for PHP or Go or others.
For sure. And yeah, it's sort of, I think it's a different space. So I would love to continue to have discussions about that, because I didn't have the strongest opinions about the sort of naming structure And so it would be better to propose that to people who had much stronger opinions than I.
I mean, one of the things I could see is that in the end, the need for multiple JVM providing build packs maybe vanishes, with possibilities to just handle that by selecting the dependency being used. All the rest is they all use libjvm anyway. And then it might be crucial to not bake too much into that.
I think that's was Dan's ultimate dream when he was writing this. In the original pass of this, he was proposing a 100% generic, like sort of metadata downloading into like downloading and configuring build pack that, like, given a set of sort of like provides and requires, you could download all of the dependencies in your requires, and then because it could fetch down all of this metadata. And I kind of pulled back on that and said that feels a little too not general enough to be applicable across the whole project. Is there anything else that people would like to discuss? Okay. Well, in that case, thank you all for coming. Please vote.
Thank you.
Thanks, Forrest. Bye.
Bye.